Well, not guilty.
Yeah.
That was the plea. And President Trump is headed for the airport already. I think he's at the airport. And my God, has anybody thought that America would come down to this?
I understand. Of course, we've got some big breaking news right now. Let's go to the breaking news.
Breaking news, WABC.
We know that former President Trump has entered the not guilty pleas. And joining us now here on Cats and Cosby is Donald Trump Jr. Donald, so great to have you here. Your father is commenting. He just got out of court. First of all, your reaction to what has been an unprecedented day in American history.
Well, yet another unprecedented day in history, Rita. I mean, they keep doing this stuff. Coincidentally, it always happens exactly the day after something that Joe Biden actually did. The actual corruption, whether it's millions from Ukraine, the day after they indict Trump. Yesterday, they released the Devin Archer testimony that's pretty clear that Joe was involved in all of these things. Of course, there's another one, another indictment of Trump. But what's going on right now
is right on.
Scary. If this stuff happened in third world countries, we'd be clamoring for regime change, but it's happening in America right now. The people who, every time my father tweeted Merry Christmas, would say, it's bigger than Watergate. The scandal is bigger than Watergate. Didn't matter what he did. It was always bigger than Watergate. Are strangely silent about everything we're finding out about the Biden regime, the years of corruption. And, no one's even bothered to ask the question, why would the Chinese give a crackhead $1 billion to invest? I mean, maybe that's part of their ESG program. They have to have diversified wealth managers and have to have some crackhead representation in there, because otherwise I don't think anyone in their right mind would give Hunter Biden $1 billion, unless, of course, you were buying the United States government. And given the policies, the America last, China first policies we've seen out of this administration, that seems to be exactly what they did. And China made an incredible investment. It was one of the best return on investments we've probably ever seen.
Don Jr., it looks like Congress is following the money, and that President Biden went to Ukraine afterwards demanding to get rid of that attorney general right after certain meetings.
Yeah, John, he's on video. He says he bragged about it on video. It's not even like it's attempted, but now we see the money trail. We see that it actually was real. Why on earth would they pay Hunter Biden to sit on a board of a business he knows nothing about, a language he doesn't speak? He doesn't have to actually show up. And Devin Archer testified to all those reasons. Of course we knew. But again, the same people clamoring about democracy for the last few years are strangely silent. I mean, we're making decisions, guys, that could lead us to World War III against Russia, 6,000 nuclear warheads. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? We're not even asking if the $130 billion that we've spent there thus far could be influenced, because these guys have more information on Joe Biden and their corruption. And are we risking not just $130 billion of U.S. taxpayer dollars, but actual nuclear war to cover up the continued insanity that we see here? No one's even asking the question.
And we had
you
Gordon
talk about the banana republics. That's what we're living in right now.
And Don, we had Gordon G. Chang on, a Chinese expert that we have on WABC all the time, and he says there are Chinese soldier types that are coming through the borders, and they might be sending up.
They have that. You have terrorists. You have people that are known on the terror watch list. 6 million people thus far under Joe Biden. I mean, that's 2% of our country, guys. If they're finding dozens of terrorists, imagine how many they're not finding. What's going on there? We've seen the stuff that came out with the movie The Sound of Freedom, and Tim Ballard's a friend of mine. I met him in like 2015, 2016. I think I'm the guy that actually introduced him to the White House. They brought Tim in there to talk about the child and sex trafficking problem at the border and across the world. And, I was watching Democrats. Hopefully there's some common sense Democrats in the room with you. I heard some of the names. It seems like
David Paterson is Governor Paterson is a very common sense Democrat.
What about Judge Weinberg?
Judge Weinberg.
But I watched the conference when Tim Ballard was there talking about the problem. They form a committee on it. They fund it with $200 million to shut down sex trafficking. And I watched Democrats lose their minds.
Yeah,
I mean,
Governor, you want to say
we could all
something?
still agree on?
There has been a real hesitancy to address a lot of these issues and to just think that this is a situation with someone who has a drug problem. And I probably felt that way myself. But it certainly, as the evidence comes in, it kind of reminds me of Watergate. It was below the radar. In those days, the Republicans were blowing it off. The president was making fun of them. But then all of a sudden, the heavy evidence came in, and it was difficult for them to stave it off at that point.
Yeah, but the people who, again, they did the Where's Watergate. This makes Watergate, just so we're clear, this makes Watergate seem like kindergarten. I mean, millions of dollars transacting from our enemies, where we're funding them ad nauseum. I mean, we have $130 billion into Ukraine, and that doesn't include, the 220 that the Pentagon lost magically. They misplaced 220 billion. I'm sure that went there. I mean, this is insanity.
And what disappeared in Afghanistan?
Yeah, well, we'll just leave $86 billion to the Taliban. What could possibly go wrong, John? I mean, it seems like a illogical solution. But then we have clowns like our Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, after that fiasco, get on a world stage in front of Congress and say he's shocked and dismayed that the Taliban did not install, and I quote, a more diverse and inclusive government. I mean,
that's amazing.
You're shocked and dismayed. Like, maybe you're dismayed. I could understand that, but like, you're shocked that they didn't do. I mean, what they think they were going to do? They think they were going to have a trans coalition, in the Taliban government to make sure that all people are represented. I mean, these aren't serious people.
It's
insane.
So,
Don, you're saying that the Taliban rejected DEI.
And everybody, we're talking to Donald Trump Jr. here on Katz and Cosby. Don, I also want to ask you just about this moment here, too, with your dad, because the judge is saying, basically, or DOJ, I should say, we want to speed up this case. To me, we're talking about obviously all these serious things that I think have gone wrong under the Biden administration. And now juxtapose it with this moment, this historic moment here with your dad. And they seem to just want to bog him down. That was the one thing that his attorney, Alina Habba, just was saying a few minutes ago, is that basically what a coincidence. The next hearing here is set for August 28th. The first debate is August 23rd. I mean, this is just to like tie him up between all these different it's like 78 counts is what he has today. This is an amazing moment, Don Jr.
Yeah, no, it's amazing in the sense that, I think we're finally realizing how much further we've fallen than we could have ever imagined. The Democrats are doing whatever they can, weaponizing things. And, Republicans are playing T-ball while the Democrats are playing for keeps and playing hardball. We have to start playing that same game, or we're going to be in big trouble because, this is, third world country stuff. If we were doing this and watching this unfold in a banana republic, we'd be calling for regime change. And yet, it's happening right here. And, we're sitting there, okay, well, maybe we'll send a tweet about it instead of actually doing anything about it.
Judge Weinberg, you've got a question for Donald Trump Jr.
Well, I have a point. How does your father deal with this, knowing, for example, that Jack Smith, the special counsel, is forum shopped to put this case in the District of Columbia, which is a hostile environment in terms of the population, the voting demographic? Only 5% supported your father. And you have a hostile federal bench, and you have probably the worst judge, as Professor Alan Dershowitz pointed out, that you could possibly have in this matter. I mean, it's time for her to recuse herself based on her previous statements and conduct, and it's time to get this case out of the District of Columbia so your father can have a fair trial. As a matter of constitutional law.
It's time to do all those things, but we've been watching, and we all know that none of those things will happen, right? I mean, again, we talk about Hunter Biden. I mean, I did 50 hours of testimony for a phone call that everyone agrees was the same thing, and 50 hours for treason. They wanted to try me for a crime punishable by death. Hunter by billion here, a couple million here, tied to human trafficking, sex trafficking. Guys, we're like. I think the problem that we have is there's still people that believe that these Democrats are actually, that they have shame, and that they're not they haven't totally weaponized these things. I mean, they'll take every win imaginable. They'll charge you to the wazoo. They'll make sure that tie you up. It's lawfare. Tie you up, eliminate all your time, your resources, capital, defending these things because they're trying to put someone away for life. I mean, Trump is a young and vibrant man, as you know, guys. And, John, you certainly know this. But, the 475 years that they want to put him away for. I don't know. It's probably a lot, even for him.
Yeah, it's amazing. It is pylon. And Cox, you got a question?
It's interesting. The special counsel here, Jack Smith, is well known to be a very creative prosecutor. That's what he does. And the Department of Justice decided in prosecutions where you want to have the most solid case you can have against a former president who is the leading candidate of the opposition party to be president. And they pick someone who is known as a creative judge and his convictions have been rejected 8-zip by the Supreme Court. That really says what the Department of Justice is about, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that tells you everything that you need to know. It's the same thing what they were trying to do, in Florida and with the female prosecutor down there. You might just find the one person, find anyone who has no morality, no decency, no fealty to the rule of law, and we'll just let them do what they can and inflict as much damage as possible. I mean, it's not just a message to Trump; it's a message to anyone else who would ever come in and try to take on the hegemony of their power. These people in D.C., it's like the Bidens, right? What have they created? What have they done? What have, other than peddled influence, to make millions of dollars, and the grandkids are making millions and getting money from China, and there's everyone's on the payroll. I wasn't aware that they did.
So leading up to the election, all these trials are going to be going on. Why shouldn't there be an impeachment proceeding going on with respect to President Biden? He certainly deserves it, given the facts that are coming out. So there is a contrary narrative going on,
especially after the Devin Archer comments on Capitol Hill. Wow,
that's just a starter. Wait till you see what else comes out.
Oh yeah. By the way, I mean, if you think that's it, I mean, imagine what China has that we haven't even come out on. I mean, again, they didn't invest $1 billion in Hunter for nothing. I'm sure there's so we don't know how much more is out there. What are the other things that those enemies have that on Hunter that beyond the laptop from hell? What are the things that Hunter decided? Maybe that's too much to video myself doing, but they probably have it, and I'm sure they're going to weaponize it against these guys. So the only problem with impeaching Joe Biden is you end up with Kamala Harris, which could arguably be worse.
Well, it won't be convicted, but impeachment gives you the power, a really superpower of subpoena to draw out a lot of facts a lot faster than you otherwise would.
Right.
Correct. But the mainstream media will run with it. Look at the Republicans. They can have cut and dry evidence of corruption at the highest level. Again, I think the stuff makes Watergate look like kindergarten.
I agree with that.
Run full cover for it because they're not even talking about these things. So you have real testimony before congressional committees, and I know because I was in those committees. I did that. I was there when these people altered my emails. They got caught, but that didn't stop them from running with it for 2 weeks until the truth came out. The walls are closing in. We got them. I mean, they're willing to do anything, and so I think that's the mistake, unfortunately, that we're making is. We have to. We assume, and many Americans who are too busy, trying to live their lives, feed their families, to pay attention to all the details of what's going on. But we still think these people actually care about any of these things, or the rule of law, or it just.
That is the most shocking part. That the zillion lawyers in our country, that the lawyers are not standing up for the rule of law. And they're not standing up for ethics. I mean, it used to be an important subject. I mean, ethics. Yeah. Where the heck are they?
John, also the media, too. The media blackout of what they cover and not cover is disgusting to me, too.
It's really disgusting. Benjamin Franklin be turning over in his grave.
Yeah, 1,000%. Donald Trump Jr., we love having you on, and give our best to your father, please.
I'll do that, guys. Thanks a lot. Good talking to you.
Thank you so much, Don.